an algebraic expression must have at least one variable. And a variable, of course, is a letter that represents an unknown number. And so if we had something like x, this is an algebraic expression, right? There's one variable there. We could have x plus 7. This is an algebraic expression. Or we could have something like 5x plus 7. This is an algebraic expression. As long as there is at least one variable, it's an algebraic expression. Now, the expression can also be separated by signs, by plus or minus signs. And so when that is the case, we have what we call terms, the terms of the expression. So in the expression 5x plus 7, we would say there are two terms, right? We would say 5x is a term and positive 7 is a term. The coefficient is the number multiplied by the variable. Okay, so in this expression, x, of course, is our variable. It's the letter to represent the unknown number. What number is being multiplied by that variable? Well, it's the number in front of the letter, right? 5 is the coefficient. 5 here is being multiplied by x. In algebra, you don't need to write an x for the multiplication symbol or even a dot. If you have a number next to a letter, that's understood to be multiplication. Okay, so the coefficient is 5, that's multiplied by the variable. The constant is the value that does not change. The constant has no variable. So in this expression, 7 is the constant. It has no variable. Okay, so down here in number 1, we have 5x plus 7. Let's write this expression using words. Well, we've already said that 5x means 5 times x. Or we could say the product of 5 and x, because the product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Okay, so the product of 5 and x plus 7, or we could say increased by 7, because if you add 7, you're increasing this by 7. So that is one way to use words to write this expression. You could also say something like this: 7 more than, which means we're going to add 7 to something. Well, what are we going to add 7 to? We're going to add 7 to this, the product of 5 and x, which would be 5x. Okay, so let's add 7 to this. Add 7 to that would be 5x plus 7. Okay, so this is an algebraic expression. 7 more than the product of 5 and x would be a way to use words to write that expression. And number 2, we'll start off with words and we'll write it with an algebraic expression. So the words 6 less than y. This is a tricky one. Okay, 6 less than y. Here is the incorrect way to write that algebraic expression. The incorrect way would be 6 minus y. That is incorrect. What this expression says is y less than 6. I don't want y less than 6. I want 6 less than y. And so here's the correct way. If you want 6 less than y, whatever y is, if you want 6 less than that, I need to take 6 away from y. And if I take 6 away from y, I need to subtract 6 from y. And so this is the correct algebraic expression for these words. Okay, in this expression, how many terms are there? Well, y is a term and negative 6 is a term. So there's 2 terms. The variable, of course, is y. What's the coefficient? What number is being multiplied by the variable? Well, you may say there is no number being multiplied by the variable. There is no number in front of the letter. And when that's the case, that number is 1. There is a 1 there. It's just not written. And so if you were to see 1y minus 6, that 1y is the same thing as y. Okay, so here the coefficient is 1. Now, what is the constant? What number has no variable? That number is negative 6, not 6. Negative 6. It's negative 6 because of this minus sign. That minus sign is, yes, a minus sign, but it's also a negative sign. So negative 6 is the constant. Number 3, we have negative z minus 14. Again, there are 2 terms. Negative z is a term, and negative 14 is a term. So 2 terms. The variable, of course, is z. What's the coefficient? What is the coefficient of z? What number is being multiplied by z? Well, again, I don't see a number, so I just said it's 1, but in this case, it's negative z. So it's negative 1. That is the coefficient. That's the number being multiplied by z. What's the constant? Well, what number has no variable? That number is 14. Not 14, but negative 14. Again, because of this minus sign, it also functions as a negative sign. So negative 1 is the coefficient, and negative 14 is the constant.